It says, from their towns they came together at Gibeah to fight against the Israelites. At once the Benjamites mobilized 26,000 swordsmen from their towns, in addition to 700 chosen men from those living in Gibeah. Among all these soldiers, there were 700 chosen men who were left-handed, each of whom could sling a stone at a hair and not miss. You know, I believe God is wanting us to go to a higher level. How many of y'all believe God wants your marriage to go to a higher level? He wants our church to go to a higher level. He wants our city and our nation to go to a higher level. But in order to do this, we're going to have to be the kind of warriors that God wants us to be. I find it interesting that out of all the people, anyone stands out among these warriors? I don't know about you, the group that stands out to me the most are the 700 left-hand warriors. Why left-handed? Well, if you know boxing, you know southpaw boxers, they have an advantage because they're used to fighting right-handed people. Well, right-handed people, they're used to fighting only right-handed. So southpaw, there's an advantage being left-handed, being different. How many of y'all know there's an advantage of being different? Pastor, you're so different. Look, left-handed, it's rare. God's calling us to be rare warriors because it's normal for there to be just normal warriors. But God is calling us to be different warriors, someone that is unique. So why left-handed warriors? Like I said, maybe they had an advantage being left-handed. I know in boxing there's an advantage, but that doesn't really quite fit here because these left-handed warriors, they were throwing slingshots. So that doesn't matter if you're right or left throwing a slingshot. Boxing maybe, but throwing at a distance, why left-handed? Well, I was listening to Pastor Bill Wilson, who pastors the world's largest Sunday school. He has more than 20,000 children that come to Sunday school every weekend. Can you imagine 20,000 kids? And the Lord began to minister to him about these left-handed warriors. And so he began to study. Now, he has a theological degree. He's been into seminaries and Bible schools. He's taught the Old Testament. He has a specialty on the Old Testament. So he did research to try to figure out what was so special about these left-handed warriors. So some commentaries said they were left-handed because they were not right-handed. That really helped. Duh. We got that part. But why left-handed? So as he began to do this study, he discovered something, that these men were not born left-handed. They became left-handed. Why would someone become left-handed? How many right-handed people do we have here today? Let me say it. Would you choose to say, you know what, I'm just going to become left-handed? Why? There's no reason to become left-handed if you're right-handed. Unless something happened to the warriors that necessitated them to become left-handed. And that's when Bill Wilson discovered these left-handed warriors, they had to become left-handed because something happened in battle to their right hand. Maybe they got a finger cut off, and that stopped them from being able to throw that sling like they used to. Maybe they had a flesh wound that caused their muscles not to work properly anymore. Maybe they broke their elbow and it never set right, and they weren't able to use the right hand like they used to. In other words, somewhere in the battle, they got injured. They got hurt. Now, in biblical times, if someone got hurt, they had one of two choices. They could either go home because they got injured, or they can say, look, this injury is not going to stop me from fighting. Yeah, but you can't throw the slingshot anymore. That's okay. I'm just going to learn with my left. In our life, we're in a battle. Paul wrote to Timothy in 1 Timothy chapter 6 and says, fight the good fight of the faith. Whether you realize it or not, you're in a fight. Well, I don't want to fight. You are in one. We're in a world that is manipulated and controlled by the prince of the power of the air called the devil. And he's working in people's minds to cause them to do things that are wrong. He's working in your mind to try to cause you to drift away from God. In other words, there is a spiritual battle going on. The question is, what are you going to do if in this battle you get injured? Maybe you grew up in a household where you got abused by your parents or neglected, and you got wounded in battle. What are you going to do? Well, I'm never going to get married. I saw my mom and dad fight all the time. I'm never going to do that. You got injured. Maybe at church you got injured. You saw some hypocrisy. You saw some failures. And then you decide to say to yourself, you know what, forget church. They're just a bunch of hypocrites. That's all that goes to church. You know what I always tell people who say they don't want to go to church because there's a bunch of hypocrites? I like to tell them, come join us. We have room for one more. Come on. But we all make mistakes. But you see, in life, you go through some things that hurt you, that bruise you, that can psychologically upset you. But what are you going to do when you get hurt? I'm going home. I'm not going to go to church anymore because I saw... See, you got wounded. But these left-handed warriors, they had an option to go home. But they had such a desire to fight because they believed their nation was worth fighting for. They believed their family was worth fighting for. And my question to you, do you believe our nation is worth fighting for? Yeah. Then you come to the right church because we're going to fight for the soul of our nation. Do you believe your family is worth fighting for? Do you believe your marriage is worth fighting for? Do you believe your children is worth fighting for? Do you believe your life is worth fighting for? Well, in it, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get injured. But I believe God is raising up some left-handed warriors in this church. We're not going to give up because we've had some bad things happen to us. Maybe you grew up and went to school and you got discriminated against. What are you going to do? Become bitter? Hate the opposite race? Or are you going to decide, I'm going to forgive and I'm going to work toward racial equality? I'm going to fight because I believe in this. Maybe in a marriage, you got rejected. Your spouse cheated on you. Maybe your spouse left you for someone else. What are you going to do? Going to give up, go home, and say, oh, forget about it. I don't trust anyone anymore. You need to get a backbone. You need to act like a real man and say, you know, bless God, things happen. People get injured. But you know what? I still have a left hand. I'm going to get better with my left than I was with my right. I'm going to become a better person, not a bitter person. Maybe at work you got fired or your business didn't succeed. What are you going to do? Give up? Give up a dream of a successful business? Give up a dream of a successful career because things didn't go well at work? You got hurt? We all get hurt. Grow up. The point is, we all get injured. What are we going to do, though? Go home and give up the battle?